Welcome to the Kaleidoscope of Possibilities, Alternative Perspectives on Mental Health. My name is Dr. Adriana Popescu. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and leader in the field of mental health, energy psychology, addiction, trauma, and empowerment. In this podcast, we will be exploring mental health from a variety of perspectives, from the spiritual to the shamanic and beyond. What if mental illness isn't everything we think it is? What if everything we see as a pathology is actually a possibility? What else is possible with mental health? Hey everyone, Dr. Adriana Popescu here with you today with another episode of Kaleidoscope of Possibilities, Alternative Perspectives on Mental Health. I'm really excited to have with me as my guest today, Janell Rae. She is the founder of the Energy Intelligence Method and a master energy healer known for helping people see the deeper energetic patterns that shape their clarity, choices, and momentum. With nearly 30 years of intuitive practice, she teaches individuals and visionary professionals how to interpret emotional signals, clear inherited or identity level imprints, and reconnect to the inner guidance that creates alignment in every area of life. Her work blends intuitive perception with emerging research on somatic memory, emotional patterning, and the human energy field, offering a grounded and highly practical approach to personal evolution. Welcome, Janell.
Thank you. Love being here.
Yeah, love having you. So, as always, we like to get to know our guests. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you come to be doing this work that you're doing?
Yes, it found me. It was part of my awakening. So I was a horse trainer. I was a professional horse trainer, and I have always been attracted, like animals have been my space. When I hindsight's 2020, right? When you look back and I look at myself as a little pumpkin seed. And what's my world? It was animals. That I was so comfortable, it was so easy. Fast forward, so I struggle with so being with animals easy. Get into school, and I'm very dyslexic, and I have an auditory processing disorder. So everything's easy until I get into a classroom, and the overwhelm was unreal. So confusion. Nobody in my world understood dyslexia or understood auditory processing, and I'm intuitive. So I could feel, sense all of this input was coming at me in this classroom setting. And I'm confused. So this overwhelmed tornado was what I was experiencing. The trauma through the lens of a kiddo that has no idea what's going on, goes, I have to figure this out. And obviously, what I'm doing doesn't work anymore because it did, but now it doesn't. So by third, fourth grade, I started shutting down these key pieces of who I am and how I work. All right, so now I'm trying to navigate life. I'm very successful in anything hands on, anything animal. I become a professional trainer at 17. I'm hauling myself to horse shows. I'm engaged in anything like that. I thrived in and was very driven. Anything academic and related to my identity in that space, I was just behind multiple layers of what I perceived was acceptable. So many masks, so many wedges between my truest self and what I was presenting to the world. So fast forward a little bit more, and I build a facility. I'm a horse trainer again, and I am attracting these really aggressive, they were called outlaws in that time and space. And that just meant aggressive behavior. And so I let them move in the arena without any human interaction. I'm like, look at you. You are biomechanically off. This why? And I got really curious. So I connected with three incredible healers. One was a vet who had gone Eastern medicine for animals, so acupuncture and herbs. I connected to a chiropractor who worked on horses, and a body worker who we would call an energy worker now. And we got with that team, we got these horses biomechanically correct. Then on the home front in my facility, I was doing the follow up work, and I was putting my hands on them, and I started to realize I could feel. I could feel where things were stuck. I could feel where the meridians were. So I could see into the body, feel, sense, see. Like I could sense, but it would create these pictures. I could see into the body. And I would take all this back to the three gals, and they'd be, oh my gosh, you can. And they would explain to me. This is approaching 30 years ago. That was my beginning to understanding how and who I was. And so many pieces began to make sense as you look back and I start the healing work on who I am and getting that connected back to who I am. I just had this drive. I want to understand this and I want to get back to me. So I spent studying with more people and other healers, other modalities, just adding to my knowledge and my ability and healing self and connecting back to self. So, really, the horses, I am forever grateful. They activated what I put to sleep out of fear and not knowing. And they were the catalyst for setting me on this trajectory to what I do now, healing and walking with people and animals.
Yeah, amazing that you came back around to people after having had not such great experience. I think that's true for so many of us healers. You know, it's hard. The world of people is challenging. The world of nature and animals in particular can be much easier for many of us. So tell us about the work that you're doing now.
So now I am walking. It's about translating. There's two parallel pieces here. It's about translating life. Life is going on around us. Sometimes it can appear so chaotic, and we are being asked. Really, what guidance is asking us is to elevate our way of translating it. We've had a way of translating life events to day and to the bigger pieces, relationships, the work I'm in, conflict, struggle. Uh, we're being asked to look at these pieces in a different way. And so that's been a place guidance is taking me to. Is like, okay, how do we understand that? We used to say this is conflict. Let's resolve that, and this is how we resolve it. Now they're saying this is conflict. Take two steps back from it. Separate yourself from whatever that is, because we're getting your attention. So it's there's new ways of looking at these events in our life because guidance is saying, I need a way to get your attention. In the past, you would have focused on the conflict. It's probably not even about the conflict. It's two steps back from there. Now let's strategize. How do we understand what's going on? What is guidance getting me to understand? And for some, it's just like, well, what is guidance? And how is it even talking to me? Sometimes it's very basic in energy intelligence. How does your guides, how do my guides, how do they talk to us? And are they asking us to elevate that? So, how does it happen now? And often, what I'm finding is that we have an image of this is how it is done. This is how guidance guides. And really being open to, well, that may be true. And it may have been true for me, or it may have been true for people that I know, but it's different. It can be being asked to be elevated. So, where does that go? And or it's asking you to realize you're an individual and how do your guidance work and speak to you. And it's so different for all of us. So it's really that's where I'm going now is let's help people translate.
So for people who maybe haven't had an experience yet of their guides, like how do you even introduce that? Who are the guides, you know? And I would think this is might be especially interesting for folks who grew up with any kind of maybe organized religion or a certain dogma about this type of thing, or maybe they're in resistance to this because they grew up with some sort of dogma they're now rejecting. Like, how do you even start with that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I grew up in a a very religious family, and I grew up and was married, into service in a religious space. So I totally get it. Um, and that was one of my journey pieces was so here I am working with these horses, and I'm being activated in all these intuitive gifts. And oh my goodness, what do I do with that? That's not accepted in the space I'm in. Like that's considered dark, heavy, so many different words to describe, judgments on that. But yet it was pure, it was from a total love space. So I would ask people to feel, where's your truth? Where, we put language to things. But what is God? God is the purest form of love. And we can have different words. Do you? Is it creator energy? Is it God energy? Is it the purest love energy? What's your truth? And it's okay. It's okay to sit with that. What is spirit? What is energy? And for those that have been and grown in a space where the spirit is connected to source, God, is it the purest form of love that you're working with? Then you're okay. You're okay. And fear, we know, is not from God. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. Are you operating in fear, or are you operating in the purest form of love? And I let that be my guide. That's how I made the choices I made, was following love. Purest, it's not emotional love, but purest love. Then that opens the door to understanding how all things that are love guide us.
Wow. So profound. Your work is really very spiritually based, it sounds to me. And so I guess when you mention fear, that's, exactly what I was thinking is so many people have fear around this topic.
Mhm.
I'm sure you've seen this. Many people have seen this. And I'm sure many people in our audience have seen and experienced this. There seems to be a thinner veil than ever between our world
Yes.
here, earthly realm, and other realms, the spirit realms or higher consciousness realms, whatever you want to call that. um, and so more and more people seem to be tuning into these energies. And I think a lot of people are frightened because they're like, I mean, I'd like to talk to my guys, but how do I know I'm talking to well intended people, versus like, yeah, darker energies, or how I don't trust myself to be able to differentiate. I see that a lot in folks. Do you see that as well? And then how do you work with that?
I do see that. I see that a lot. And I see a lot of fear from individuals that have had the training that we should fear. And that's okay. No guilt, no shame. We start where we start and honor it. And what, yeah, there's two pieces. Is one, if I am afraid, that means there's a piece of me that I don't understand. There's some work to do. There's some work to do. And as I've walked my journey, as I'm walking with individuals, I saw in myself where there was fear, there was confusion, or a piece of me that I hadn't understood yet. So doing the work, I would start there, doing the work and saying, who am I in, and what have I picked up that isn't me? And my measuring stick is the frequency of love. And people, well, what is that? It's like, we can show you that. We can get into that part of us. When we have that, when we connect to who we are, when we're doing the work and we're going, okay, that's me. Okay, that isn't me. Then what happens is then we're going, okay, what's talking to me? The veils are thin. And that's beautiful. From my lens, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome sauce. The higher I vibrate, we connect with that frequency. So if I'm being bothered by something that feels heavy or low, I have the opportunity to take a couple steps back. I don't lock horns with that. If I lock horns with things that are of low frequency, whether it's presenting in individuals in my space or energy in itself, in its simplest, it's just energy, then I would be engaging and becoming a part of it and with it. That's a mistake we make from my lens. So I take a couple steps back and I go, guidance, thank you. Is there something in my energy form and my physical form that I have picked up that is helping me find? Often, if I'm afraid, is that good or bad? I take that question to inside me. Is there something inside me that feels heavy or matching something that's disturbing me? Then I can go through the sequence and heal. I can transfer that heavy energy into love energy. Most of the time, that shifts me out of that space. And what I see, feel, know is of a like frequency, and it will be of love. Now we go through and we walk through a world. I mean, there's all sorts of there's heavy frequencies and there's pure dynamic love frequencies in all of its different forms and dimensions. So if we want to find dark and you're going, where's the heavy? I need to avoid it. You're asking to see it. So we also are watching, okay, what am I saying? Or I'm a being of light. I work with love energy, and that's what I call in. That's what I intend, and that's what I will see. And that's what I'll work with. So intentions we can be aware of as well.
Wow, there's so many different questions I want to ask just from that. But what came up when you were talking is I was thinking about how we're all born, into the world as these beings of like pure love, but we get so disconnected from that through our life's experiences, especially the experience of trauma. To me,
Mhm.
that's where I think a lot of those darker energies start to take hold, is when we experience really painful things. And um I think that disconnects us from that innate love that we are. Can you speak to that a little bit? And how do you work with people who've experienced traumatic? I mean, most of us have had some sort of traumatic experience, but
Mhm.
yeah, how do you work with that?
Yeah, that's such a truth, isn't it? And we can even start this life with energy from our epigenetics, the history of our family, and that can echo. So we even start with an echo of those frequencies in our space, so they're attracted, and we can see, different bullying can often be coming from things that we didn't even start in this lifetime, but came with us. It all boils down to frequency and trauma experienced over a period of time. And it's often experienced for many of us during early childhood development. So it becomes a part of our identity. It's a frequency that is playing in the background and influencing how we see, how we think, how we move, decisions we make, how I talk. And we go, oh my gosh, but it's really in that early developmental stage. So neurologically, it's wired into my physical form. Emotionally, it's energetically. Emotions is self-created energy. It's energy in our physical form and our energy form. But all energy can be transmuted, which simply means, based on Einstein's theories, is shifted from one frequency to another. So we can shift in our physical form. We can find where our body holds it, and we can shift it into a self love energy. We can find it within our emotional body. So, our energy body, our emotional body, and we can shift it. So, it's about everything shiftable. So, now it's about let's find it and shift it. And once it's shifted, the thinking shifts, our lens that we look through shifts. So it's talk about quantum leaps. When we can get down to, if it's your original trauma, okay, let's heal there. Is it an epigenetic echo in your now? Then we can go there. Let's shift it there. So no matter where it's coming from, it's shiftable, and then therefore we heal. And we heal emotionally, we heal physically, and our personal frequency rises. And when our personal frequency rises, we connect to who we are energetically, spiritually, gifted sets, all that gift set. We connect to that, and it starts making sense. So there's just this ripple effect when we do this work.
Mm, so interesting. I think of as an energy psychologist, I talk about this a lot. It's all energy, right? Like there's no real separation between thoughts, emotions, your physicality, it's all energy. And energy is malleable, right? Like you
Mhm.
said, and I think that's what healing work is identifying energies that don't serve us, heavy, dense energies, energies of trauma, whatever it is. It's finding those, and often the root. We have to look for the root of them, and shifting them, right? Releasing, shifting, transmuting. Like I think there's a lot of different ways to do it, but that is really the core essence of healing, don't you think?
It is. It's tuning. We're basically tuning the body, physical body, emotional body, energy body, all. We're just tuning it. Mhm. Yeah.
Amazing. So, I kind of want to look at this for a moment. I'm thinking about the state of affairs in the world right now, and how how it's almost like the collective unconscious, the collective shadow, right? Where we've kind of held and repressed a lot of energies, a lot of heavy, dense energies, a lot of hatred, a lot of
Mhm.
more trauma for sure, and how much of it is coming to the surface right now to be transmuted, to be, and I'm seeing it as well, like in working with my clients. It's like their deep shadow stuff that they've maybe repressed or avoided dealing with. I work a lot with addiction, right? So a lot of people are
Mhm.
avoiding all that stuff with addictive behaviors, and how we can't really, it seems like we've come to a time where we can't really escape that anymore. It's like all up in our face. And so what do we want to do with it? Do we want to continue to feed that negativity, which you see a lot of in the world right now, or do we transmute it? And then how do we do that on a global scale? Like, can you speak to that at all?
I think that's what we are being called to do. I think we're being called to heal really get aware of energy. I think we as a whole are being asked to understand who we are as energy. And like you said, well, it's all energy. Exactly. And really wrapping our minds around what that means. Then doing the work for with ourselves, getting in, healing, doing the work, getting aware of how I work. Who am I in this world of energy? Who am I physically? Who am I energetically? Connecting to that, because the ripple effect, because we are on the earth, our feet are on the ground, and as we heal, it's powerful. The ripple effect. We are grounding that love frequency, and the cleaner we are energetically, the more energy we house, and we can channel from all the source energy, love, and into the ground. That then supports all of the earth. So it's as simple as that in my lens. It's like get connected to who we are. The other part of it is it is a collective. So choosing, what do I entertain? Because what you think amplifies. So if I think about what I see in the world that is scary or dark or heavy, all the things you just described, I amplify that through my body. My thoughts create frequency. So not to put my head in the sand and not be aware. I'm not saying that, but being mindful of what I think about and how I think about it. And that the heavy is shifted when I don't lock horns with it. Heavy is shifted when I step back and I go, great, that's shifting. Where does the love want to go? I don't look at what I see, because that often is just a shifting thing, a moment. But if I sit back as a healer, a world healer, and I do this with groups of healers, But we go and are guided to go to different places throughout the world. Sometimes physically, I jump on a plane and I fly there. Sometimes it's just energetically and virtually grounding intentionally, just following guidance and saying, okay, this area is ready for a lot of love and all sorts of trapped hate is such a big player, isn't it? Hate runs this, but hate is based in fear often, and sometimes guilt, shame. So whatever guidance says, so let's just shift that. It's an energy frequency that can shift into love frequency. And as a collective, working on ourselves and then following that energy, where does it want to go? We are shifting what we desire to see shifted. We're wanting humanity to elevate. We're wanting, as a global effect, the support of the earth, all plant life, all animal life, humans included. We can do that intentionally through healing practices. So yeah, it's a global work. Mm-hmm.
It is, and I feel like we're speaking the same language because, especially, here in the US with everything going on politically and economically, and there's a lot of fear in the world right now here, a lot of hate and anger and all these things. And so sometimes, my clients or people I know, they want to fight back. There was even a whole movement called resist, and to me, I was always thinking, no, that's just more of the same. We're just fighting one energy with another energy, and we're fighting that judgment with another judgment. We're right, you're wrong. I mean, this whole polarized right, wrong, good, bad is part of what got us into this mess in the first place, and isn't the frequency of love is unconditional, right? It doesn't do right, wrong, good, bad. So let's talk about resistance. You work with that a lot, with your
Mm-hmm.
clients. How do you see resistance, and how do you work with it?
I see resistance as something to take a couple steps back from, because there's something to understand. And we do, and this is part of the energy intelligence. You totally nailed it. Agree with you. Love frequency isn't a judgment frequency, and we can, as humans, that's the part we're being asked to grow from, and we're being asked to grow into love frequency. We're being asked to shift there so that we will be different people. If I am living in the frequency of judgment, I don't understand every single angle that every single person and event works through. I'm limited through a judgment frequency, through a judgment lens. But if I step into a love lens, then I shift into a perspective that's global. Love energy is part of the collective energy, which sees way beyond and understands way beyond what anything I understand or see. When I elevate and we as a collective elevate into a love frequency, I see and give space for every person, animal, tree, to be who they were designed to be. And then love allows things to shift and find their place. We are all looking for a place. We're all looking for value and purpose. And it's by shifting away from judgment and hate and into love frequency and being willing to say, yes, I see the chaos, but I am choosing not to be a part of the chaos. And they're like, but it must change. Exactly. And this is how. Not by engaging it, but by shifting into this love frequency. Yeah.
Right. Not like by meeting hate with hate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, you talk about self-love, and it's so hard for people sometimes, right? Those judgments of self, they're more deeply entrenched probably than anything else, is how much we make ourselves wrong, and how much we judge ourselves, and we have core limiting beliefs, that are like the computer programs running our life. I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I don't deserve whatever. um Where do you start with folks when they're so deeply entrenched in that self judgment and lack of self love?
Yeah. We have a picture of love being something mushy and something emotional. So we need to realize love can have those elements, but the lack of those elements is not equal to the lack of love. So what is love is potent, powerful frequency. Okay. And love is the tuning fork for who I am and what I am. So if I'm speaking to the person you just described, I'm going to go, "Welcome. Let's get to know you." And I won't even talk about the things that are judgment and so on. That's an effect. We need to get down to cause. The lack of self-love, the lack of the entrenched in judgment and limiting beliefs. There's something in my identity that developed and I took a hold of that we can go find. And when that shifts, there's a more when frequency shifts, that's simply we bring in the tuning fork. Absolute and pure love is the tuning fork. When we bring that in, the thinking can change. If I try to change thinking before the energy changes, it is a arm wrestle. It's so much harder. But when the frequency changes, there's not that in my body influencing that thought. So the thought changes easily. So we need to get down to the original cause. Where's this really starting in the body?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think about when I work with folks on any kind of issue, and especially with trauma stuff. I've got to work with, yeah, the felt energies in the body and the emotions, because it's often easier for people to connect with those and find
Mhm.
those. And then once we've created some shifting with that, then we can get into the thoughts. It's harder to go the other way, is in my experience, because like you can't yet the thought, like questioning a belief that, let's say, I'm a failure, right? um you can't, or I'm unlovable. That's probably a better one, because that has so much, emotion to it. I'm unlovable. There's shame, there's self-loathing, there's self-hatred, there's this energy there that they can pretty easily tune into. You can't cognitively challenge that while that energy is still there, because it's not a match, right? It's like, I can't hear. It's like the person who thinks they're ugly can't receive a compliment, because it's not a match for how they're seeing themselves. So first you have to move that energy and shift it, and then a cognition can a perception can change, a different perspective can come in. I've really seen that in the work, which is very contrary to what the gold standard in Western psychotherapy is, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. Change your thought to change, right? Change the thought to change how you feel. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because you're like you said, your body does not agree with it, and therefore it's an arm wrestle there, isn't it? It doesn't shift. Yeah, I agree, and that's what I see as well. And as self-discovery, because that's part of healing, as energy shifts, if I self-discover at the same time, then there's a form of empowerment because somewhere in here in the trauma, there's a sense of I've lost control. And in that space of I've lost control, these other emotions can be born and fostered. I'm not enough. I lost control somewhere. I'm not enough. I'm incapable, and the cascade of thoughts that can come from there. So in self discovery, we get control because I'm working as me. There's power in being and working as authentic me. There's an incredible power there. So building that along the way supports that shift that our clients are after as well. Yeah.
I think too, just as you were talking, I was thinking about how self-blame, and guilt and shame and all that is actually a misguided attempt at control, right? Because if I can
Yeah.
blame myself for what happened, then I have a sense of control, versus this thing happened to me, I had no control over it. That's a lot scarier, right? It's almost like easier to
Totally.
blame oneself than to accept that there was something you really did, like with a trauma, let's say, right? Like really didn't have control over that. um, in a physicality kind of way. In a spiritual realm, I get we could make an argument for that, um but when you're on the receiving end of something, it can feel really terrifying to think you didn't have control. So better to say I deserved it, I made it happen somehow. um but it's a misguided attempt.
It sure is. Yeah. Yeah, and our body comes up with, because it's trying to understand, like our mind works, doesn't it, to make things make sense. You're sitting in a car and somebody pulls out. You're sitting in a car in a parking lot and somebody backs out, but you're not backing out. But you get the feeling that you're backing out and you have this disorientated moment. That's your brain trying to make sense of incoming data with what it has at the moment. And it's doing that with these energy frequencies that we have, with the different ways that our body stored trauma during the time it happened. Our body is doing its workaround. And that's another reason why I don't find um, coming at uh, self healing and mindset work from the mind first as successful. Yeah, people get gains. I won't, obviously they do. But why is it not as successful or as quick? Because the brain has its neurological workaround and it's still getting fed, that's its thought loop, its trap in a sense. So getting into the why again. It's always comes down to that, doesn't it? Get into the why
Yeah. So I
energetically.
Energetically, yes, exactly. So much more than the intellect. Sometimes I think of the dog. I was laughing because I think of like, um, when we're trying to figure out intellectually the why, it's like a dog chasing its tail. Like it's never really
Mm.
getting anywhere, or like a hamster running on a wheel. Sometimes I like picture that in people's heads. They're just trying really, really hard to get somewhere, and they're not. They're expending a lot of energy, but not really getting anywhere because you can't from that. The mind is so limited, right? And the mind only knows what it's been taught, what it's been conditioned, and our deeper knowing, right? Our spiritual knowing, whatever you want to call that. That's really what we want to get in touch with. So I wonder if you might be willing to guide us through some sort of experience of this type of work, so people can really get an understanding of it. Or
Absolutely.
or a felt sense, because we've been talking a lot intellectually here. Could we drop in and have more of a felt sense experience?
Yeah, we can. We can totally bring like a connect, let's connect to, because you said it, I 100% agree with it, that we have inside of us the purest form of who we are with no static, with no emotional baggage. It is, and it does reside right in the center of who we are. So we can take people there, and I'll guide you through the sequence of steps that connect you to that part of you. And it's possible that you'll connect first off. It's also possible that there are some trauma pieces that you put there to protect yourself. So we'll totally honor it, that you may run into. And that's okay. That means guidance is showing you what's ready to shift. And if that's the case, we can talk about how to deal with that, how to walk with that if you run into that. When those are gone, you'll pop right into that higher self, that purest form of you. So if that sound good?
Great.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's go there. So I invite you to set the intention to connect to that highest form of you, the you that knows why you're here. It is the most authentic you in every way. It is a pure love form for you, for yourself, and it's here to be seen. It wants to be seen. So I'm so glad that you're here. I invite you to set that intention. Now, I invite you to step into the space with me. I have set a container, it's a love space. To step into this container. This container is here to support you connecting to your most highest self. When you're here, just ask yourself to ground into this space and be supported. Your intention will make it so. Some of you will feel it, some of you may see it, some of you may have a knowing, and some of you, the intention is how you know it is so. All of that is correct. Now that you're here, we're just going to ask all that loves you and supports you to go and just be a space around you. Let it be. Now we're going to you can put your right or left hand on your heart. You can use both hands. Do you? What feels right to you? And if you don't know, then just choose one. The intention is guiding you. Now I invite you, as you breathe in, that you visualize a small balloon type structure. As you breathe in, it expands in your chest. It's in the center of your chest. And as you exhale, it shrinks just a little bit. Do what's comfortable for you. As you inhale, let it expand, visualize it, or set the intention, and it will be. And as you exhale, it shrinks, and just allow that with each breath. If at any time you are uncomfortable, simply stop. Just continue with this breath. Now, if there's anything that is separating you from connecting to your authentic self, anything that's ready to go, just lovingly, we're just going to allow it to leave your person and go into love space to be cleared. It's ever so gentle. And as you breathe in, that balloon expands. As you exhale, it shrinks. And you're just allowing, you're not worrying about thinking how. Let your brain take a back seat and just focus on your breath and let the intention do the work. You're doing fantastically. Good job. Now, at the very core of you is your most authentic self, that frequency, the purest form of you. As you breathe in, just allow that balloon to expand. And as you shrink, you're allowing your heart to connect to that through intention. Allow your heart to connect to that most authentic part of you. Not because you think of it, because now you're in a space of allowing. As you breathe in, that ball expands. As you shrink, as you exhale, it shrinks, and you connect to that part of you. This time, as you inhale, that frequency fills that balloon. That authentic frequency fills it. And as you exhale, it just becomes you. It fills you. As you inhale, that balloon fills with that authentic frequency. And as you exhale, it just kind of condenses as part of you, part of your heart space. Inhale, it fills with that authentic frequency. As you exhale, it condenses and becomes a part of your heart space. Continue this. Now, this is the introduction phase. You can repeat this as often as it feels right to you. We're introducing your heart space to who you authentically are. So set the intention and instruct your heart with lots of love, thank you, to just allow that frequency to be part of your heart space. The intention will help it be so. And I'm going to bring you back from this exercise. So as you breathe in, just allow that balloon that we had, allow it to go into the ethers. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you, heart, for participating, your heart energy. Thank you. Setting the intention. As you breathe in, we're going to step out of the container. All of your chakras will be spinning the most beneficial direction and size for you as you step out. It'll balance you. So as you breathe in, just step out of the container. As you exhale, you are out. I will send it back to the ethers. Thank you. The container goes back. And as you breathe in, we're going to breathe 3 breaths. And as you do, you're coming back into your body. And on the third one, open your eyes. And breathing in, a little slower exhale. Again, do what's comfortable for you. Breathing in, exhale. And on this one, we open our eyes. Breathing in and exhale. Thank you.
Thank you. That was lovely. It was so interestingly like quiet in my space. And it hasn't always been that, that's for sure, man. And when I first started this, I probably couldn't even have sat that long in a quiet in any kind of like contemplative mindful state, without my monkey mind just the hamsters running in circles, like um and I'm just aware of like how peaceful it can be now, like my
Mm.
mind didn't have anything to spin on, and I could feel the loving embrace of all of my guides, and I never was able to experience that in the past. So for people to know that if you struggle with that type of exercise, like with practice, it really does get easier, and it gets even more expansive and more peaceful and loving and all the things. But it does take practice. It's hard. It can be hard at first to do that, but that was amazing. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's step one, because we integrate into that in increments. So if people are like, is it a one and done? No.
No. I wish.
I wish, right?
Yeah,
I
no.
wish too.
It's that's why they call it practicing meditation and engaging in practices,
Yeah.
spiritual practices and energetic practices, because we have to keep working at it to really, like, especially to shift those really deeply
Yes.
deeply held beliefs and experiences and traumas and stuff. But it absolutely can profoundly transform your life when you do engage in these practices. I am living proof of that. You're living proof of that as well. Janelle, if people want to find out more about you and your work, where do they go?
You can find me at my website, which is Janell at janellrae.com. Oh, that's my email. I always do that too. That's my email. Janell at janellrae.com is my email. Send me an email if you have questions like, oh my gosh, how can I do this better? I'm hitting this wall. Reach out. We can totally talk through that. Also, you can go to janellrae.com, and that's my website where you can look at, hey, what's Janelle up to now? We have a class starting where we're focusing on this conversation that we were able to have today. We're focusing on that in class form January 5th. So we'd love to see you there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing with us today the gift that you are and the gift of your experiences, the wisdom, everything that you're bringing to the world. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. And if you've made it this far and have found this podcast helpful, please do share it, like, comment, rate, review, subscribe, all the things that you can do to get this out there in the hands of more people, because we are in a profound time of transformation and change on this planet, and we want to support everyone in the process of doing that. So thank you so much, Janelle. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time on Kaleidoscope of Possibilities. Bye.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Kaleidoscope of Possibilities, Alternative Perspectives on Mental Health. This has been Dr. Adriana Popescu. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe and share with others. To find out more about me, my guests, and more, please visit my website at adrianapopescu.org. See you next time.